the score that you get, it's all normalized. You can decide how nice or mean we are and how much they had to compensate for that. Will you see that come back to you?
Yeah, this is the raw score. It'll be a slightly different point level that you'll receive.
But on the whole, you were one of the better cars that we saw yesterday. We were impressed with a lot of your work, and hopefully we can encourage you to continue to up your game next year, and just the cars get better every single year. Just getting a car here is an incredibly impressive feat. That you've built a car, brought it, it's running, and then to be at the level that you're operating, you're through tech, you're ready to go do the dynamic events. You should be very proud of yourselves. We're impressed every year that we pull it off.
How are you guys faring? You guys get through all your events?
Yeah, we're through all the morning dynamic events. I'm just waiting for autocross.
How'd you do?
We did pretty good. We had some issues with the skid pad. Timing and scoring the skid pads. I didn't pick up one of our runs, but it's all right.
What times did you get?
We didn't do too well in skid. We ended up with 6 flat, I believe, and then a 4.6 something or other at acceleration.
Is that close to what you were targeting?
Yeah, it was a little quicker than last year.
498 pounds. A little bit on the heavy side for non-aero. So you guys need a diet for next year. Because that's a bit on the heavier side. You guys were running a single cylinder, weren't you?
Nope, 4-cylinder.
4-cylinder.
Yours is right here. There you go.
Trying to remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, 4-cylinder, 650cc. No internal mods. Okay. You guys had a $30,000 budget, which is right in the ballgame with a lot of the other ones. So you kind of have some money to spend, and you guys got a large team. So time management is a very, very big issue. To make sure that everybody is functioning and everybody's working at a high level.
Yeah.
So you need to set up a goal, objectives, and then the timeline, and then make sure everybody's functioning in that timeline. That's for everybody. It's not just you. It's for everybody. You know, and the good teams have that. And function like that. You had limited testing. Okay? At least you had some.
Yeah.
Better than some. Okay. But the more testing you can get, the better off you are. The more information you can bring to us and say, here's what we changed and here's why we changed it. We want to see data. We want to see engineering thought process.
Right.
So that could be a goal for next year.
Right.
But you had 4 dyno poles that probably weren't anywhere near optimization. Dynamometers are a quick way to get yourself tuned in, but you can do it with a stopwatch, you can do it with acceleration runs, you can do it with a lot.
Yeah.
So you don't have to have all the fancy stuff, you don't have to have all the fancy, you just have to understand what you're doing and have a procedure to follow through, okay? Yeah, single O2 sensor. I think you could use some instrumentation to kind of help you in your tuning process. A few more data points would help you, and some feedback. You could get a little bit more sophisticated in your instrumentation. I mean, I classified it as kind of a minimum instrumentation arrangement. And that's not bad by itself.
Yeah, that was more actually what we're going with. A little less to worry about.
It gets the car running, you get the car doing what you wanted to do. Now the next phase and the next step is understanding all the things that I didn't understand before. You guys had the 3D printed intake manifold. Okay.
Yep.
Thought that was interesting. I think you guys, I don't know, who's the ones it probably isn't the right size and it probably wasn't optimized in any way. But you guys learned something. I believe you learned something from it. Okay? That's cool. You got credit for that. Even though it wasn't what it was supposed to be, you still got credit for it. Okay? I think your plan is way too small. Okay? Your throttle response is probably fairly crisp, but that probably isn't what you're looking for. And Steve talked to you a little bit about. There's a lot of information out there, and that's another thing.
Yeah, I will say that I designed it so purposely did not have a plugin. To me, that was the reverse of the four-to-one collector. That's what that purpose was.
Right.
And I'm a piece was part collector or flow split, part diffusion. You know, I designed a lot of other intakes with plenums and just decided to try this.
But I think you tried something, and you learned something. Great. You know, and the whole thing, what you're here for is to learn something for tomorrow. You know, and that's why you're here. You're going to learn something to take to the real world. Okay? And that's your purpose here. It's not to win, although it's nice. You know, but that's not the ultimate. The ultimate goal is each of you. Grab something and learn from it, get better at it, and then take it out into the real world. Okay? And that's why I like it, the 3D printed one. It showed that I'm thinking, you know, and then you said, why was it in two pieces? Well, that was the limitations of the machine. Okay? Answer. Nice video too. We all had a good chuckle out of that. But I think the material's not ready for prime time. Okay.
So I did cockpit controls, brake, ergo. I'm also keeping an eye on machining, things like that. I tried to give you as much feedback as I could. One thing I did like, I thought it was very good teamwork among this group of people. I noticed that right off the bat. One thing you could share right at the beginning is your time management or how you guys are incorporating that team. Like Bill said, you have a big team. Show us your makeup, show us your structure, show us how you're working toward your goals. Breaking it down into brakes specifically, good basic understanding of vehicle dynamics. I think you could improve your calculation sheet and display more clearly the information you want to share. So we give you guys essentially the final exam, right? All the questions that we're basing our interview off of are our answers. So there's no reason that you shouldn't take this sheet and internally have a slide for each item or be able to quickly answer it, because this is my checklist, right? Not necessarily when I'm talking to you, but when I go back after we've talked, I'm like, okay, yeah, they covered this, they covered this, they covered this. You could tell a story or have a conversation with me, and I feel like, and I highlighted some of the ones that weren't shared, just go back over and gather the data you have and make a story on it and be ready to share it. Just basic data, theoretical, and how you verified it. I think that's very important. I'd like to see thermal temp data. We talked about it some, but even if you just put the paint on the rotors, explain your concept of we reduced the thickness of our rear rotor because we felt the temps were lower. Yeah, in theory that's correct, but test it, verify it, show me the data. I thought it was a good job using towards your reliability and drivability. You use the same rotor front and rear, but you just change thickness. That's cool. But explain a little bit more. We calculated it and we just don't need it, right? And show that calculation. Controls, that's where you got a bulk of your points. One of the better pedal boxes that I had seen. Quickly adjusted, simple, and I compensated you well on your points for that. I'd like to see some measurement data on the people. You don't have to measure everyone on your team, but explain to me that, yeah, I checked the boxes. We're going to fit the 95th. We looked at the 99th, and we could maybe fit them, but we definitely fit the 95th, and we fit the 5th. Anyway, just give me the data, and that's going to wow me even more. Good throttle travel. I think you can clean up the cable area a little bit. Overall, our judge was very happy in the fit in your cockpit. The paddle shifters, I just made a joke on that. I just said make sure to change your 9-volt battery before endurance. I mean, you don't want to be the guy that you don't pass endurance because of that. But overall, I feel like you got to bulk your points. I liked the safety feature. I believe that you guys. Just trying to read through a couple more of my notes. But yeah, anyway, everything had a place, a purpose in the cockpit. It was clean, put together. Share that data with the next guy after you. Make it better. Find ways to improve it. So that's all I had.
Okay, very good. As far as steering and suspension, you guys wowed me. Very good. I have down here all specs of the steering geometry, tire geometry, everything. Your engineering was thorough, complete. You tested everything, looked at about every scenario. Just really good work there. As far as your build, the only way to build an absolutely perfect part, and I don't even know if you can hit absolute perfection, but CNC is about the only way. But your use of a jig to build, to make sure that everything was aligned perfectly and uniformly, and that was genius. That was really good work doing that. But still, even building it by hand, you're going to have room to tweak it a tiny bit, and especially when you get out to track and find out it's not handling exactly the way you think it's going to. Real world's going to be different than your simulations. You got to have a way to tune it. You got to have a way to adjust it. Different drivers may say, "Hey, this just doesn't feel right. We got to tweak something." So if you have no way to do that, your driver's stuck with what he's got. So build some way in there that you can actually do some fine tuning when you get out to the track. I thought your analysis of unsprung weight, reducing things, getting them down to the minimum, that's where racers win or lose. I mean, it's the little tiny things, taking a pound off here, taking an ounce off here, taking a gram off here, and making sure that everything's minimized. I had some talk with some of the judges. You know, the ideal car runs strong through the race, and then when you're pushing it on the trailer to go home, it falls apart. Because if you build it heavy enough to last for 3 or 4 races, you're not going to make it. So reducing the weight and yet keeping the safety, keeping the durability in there is something you got to do, and you guys addressed that really well. So all in all, you did an excellent job. Near perfect score on steering and suspension, which is hard to achieve. You guys did it, which is really good.
And we also gave you the highest score that we gave all day on manufacturability and serviceability. So the
Some of your
modular
jigging
jig that
had to
you
do with
used to
that.
hold the frame, using the same things over and over, that was brilliant because you only have to design and make the thing once. You don't have to learn how to make a new thing. And then using it, the same parts for the torsion test too. That was so excellent. That was well thought out, well planned, well engineered, well executed. Having a 2-piece firewall, so you know access to the different things that you want to work on. I liked the electronic box built into the side pod that you were able to get at in 20 seconds, all of your electronics. You really want to blow me away? Get a seal going around there so that no water.
Well, that was the
goes in
outside
there.
one.
Yeah. So that was, that would have that would be a perfect score if it was all sealed against any water intruding in there. And then using on the nose the construction paper template, to lay that out. That's something that no one else with composite showed all day. And then you saved a pound with it too. I mean, that nose. Who showed me that? Okay, get him to show you what he did with the nose and what he showed me, and apply that presentation to every project that you do. Because it was, here's what I have to do, here is the benefit that I got out of it, here's how I did it. That was excellent. And so there are a couple other areas that I want you to apply that same thoroughness of documentation and math. Real good job understanding the simulation variability in the torsion test. And the different constraints, how the shock tower affected it. I was very impressed with that. So what I want you to build on for next year is these are our actual suspension loads. This is our suspension travel. This is our suspension deflection, and this is our chassis deflection, and kind of the ratios of all that, how they relate together. Because that'll help the chassis team to understand the suspension team's goals. And each different team has to understand the big picture of the whole car, not the nitty-gritty of everything. Okay, this is what suspension needs, and this is why I have to do it for chassis. This is what chassis needs, and this is why I have to do it on powertrain. This is what ergo needs, and that's what you're not building 5 different cars. You're building one car, and you can't. All the pieces have to relate together. You have a good base understanding of the benefits of aerodynamics, so calculate that out, and before you decide to do or not do aerodynamics, you're going to get a huge amount of data from this competition. You have the layout of the track, you have everyone's lap times on all the different tracks, you have your own testing, and say, okay, where, based on speed, do we expect to be making downforce? Where and at what speeds are we cornering? Therefore, where will the aero benefit us? Where are we going in a straight line, and therefore the drag will hurt us? And just give me that percentage net gain or loss. That's why we decided to put wings on the car or not put wings on the car. That's very, very few teams get that, but that's what I'm asking every single team. Very simply, I want you to prove to me if you have wings on the car that they make the car faster.
Just because you have them doesn't mean that they work.
Just because they make downforce doesn't mean they make the car faster. because you might not be going at a speed where you're using that downforce to corner faster. You might just be lugging around the weight and the drag. Or it might be this huge thing and it should be the biggest priority for the team. Do that math up front before you decide how much resources to put to it. And that's true of every single project. Where are we going to gain the most performance? This is where we need to focus our resources. I'd like to see some numbers as far as, do a little bit of research, a couple hours. This is how much weight we might save or gain if we went from a space frame to a monocoque. Even if you're never going to build a carbon car, know what's out there. If you discovered that it was going to be the most, that it was going to get, if you knew it was going to give you the most performance because you've done the math on it, you would find a way to get access to it. And you're probably going to do the math and say, okay, it would gain us a little bit, but we don't have the resources, therefore we decided to do this based on our budget, based on our time, based on our facilities. Show me those numbers, because that's engineering. That's what we're looking for. And it's smart to optimize. These are the facilities we have available, therefore we can do it this much faster, we can do it this much easier on this, on these tools that we have. The idea of using the same aero elements, front and rear, that's a good idea. If the math says, okay, maybe we threw away this much by not optimizing the elements, but we saved this much time. The numerical comparison, not just what I'm doing right now and I'm saying, we threw away a little bit of performance to save time. That's not enough. We got to have the numbers. And bring us your napkins, bring us your hand calcs, bring us your Excel sheets, bring us your industry tools. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for the numbers on everything. I liked the binders that I saw. That's a good thing. Just keep building on that. Maybe as you're bringing in new team members, having someone following you around on whatever project, or as a group, all documented together to try to learn everything that's going on. To say, hold on, I got a dumb question. Am I missing something here? And sometimes it'll be like, oh wow, we almost missed that. Let's fix it. And other times it'll be, no, we have to do this process because of X, Y, Z. So it's you're always learning together. I liked that you did multiple side pod tests and you fixed the leakage, but I want to see some numbers on that. When you bring me some numbers on that next year, your mock endurance was a priority, but I think you need a baseline goal for every dynamic event. So set an acceleration target, set a skid pad target, set a braking target. Calculate how the car's going to do that. You can do that in 2 equations on a napkin. It gets you pretty close. You gradually make your simulations more and more complex. You add more and more elements as you go. But F equals MA is going to get you a lot of the way there on everything. So do that for each thing, then you can start breaking down the tracks and doing a crude. It's not what's actually happening, but again, it'll get you closer with a lap sim. Accelerate in a straight line, brake in a straight line, steady state corner is a big step towards where are we going to gain performance in the different events. What should we focus on upping our game? Is it skid pad? Is it Excel? Is it both, based on our competitors that are out there? So you guys, you're doing a lot of great work. Just keep bringing us the numbers, keep doing more math, and you're going to keep getting better.
I had a question. I was actually very impressed with your team. How many of you are graduating or not going to be here next year? So a small number, but not everyone. Like, you guys are close. I really think if you print off these sheets and go through it, and each subsystem leader makes it his job to execute how we're going to share the, as Christian said, there's a lot of the holes in the data, we just didn't have it. You knew how to do it, you just didn't have it. Fill those holes in. Bring the level up of the team and the expectations of what we're going to deliver at competition, and you could move on. You guys are that close in a lot of areas. Now, there were holes in some areas of the different presentations, so whoever your team manager is, you have 364 days or however long till competition next year. Sit down with that guy. If you're not picking on him, you're just saying, let's get you some help. Let's bring your level up a little bit. Look at the scores, and again, that's the final exam. If you can, don't go through each line item and say, adjust brake bias. Okay, this is how we adjust brake bias. Tell me a story, like I said.
If you can answer everything on these sheets with math, you'll be able to answer whatever questions we decide to ask, as we're trying to.
And if you don't know how to answer it, seek out an industry professional or someone in your area. Bill's got tons of knowledge in powertrain and engine tuning and everything, right? Yeah, but he's not in California. Well, I'm sure there's someone in California that can do it.
You didn't have to be in California.
right? I'm just saying.
Not in today's world.
You can be anywhere and do it from a desk or communicate by Skype and share how you did that. Be like, yeah, I wasn't knowledgeable in this thermal brake rotor calculation. In the professional world, it's hard to do, but it's possible. So
But
anyway,
this is project management. Everybody has a talent. Everybody has a skill. Utilize it.
yeah.
Utilize it to the most. That's what your project management. And you'll find that works in life. You know, everybody has a talent. Make sure everybody is utilizing their talents and putting them in the right direction, rather than everybody just going this way or that way. And granted, you know, there's always going to be, oh shit, we're failing over here. Shove your resources over there. You know.
Get your reports done ahead of time.
Yeah.
So if someone's not here, I don't think you were actually the brake guy, were you?
No.
I could tell, but have that brake guy get his report done ahead of time, so that way you're not
But if
stumbling.
he isn't here,
You can nail it.
you know.
And I knew that you weren't, but I didn't want to say, hey, you're not the brake guy, but you got as close as you could with what you had available. But if he did his report 2 months ago or 3 months ago, and you guys had a mock design event, you could have hit a home run, right? You got a triple, you were close, but
The best teams, anyone can jump into anyone
That's
else's
right.
system because they know it so well, because they've worked so closely together on the car, because they're always talking about it with each other. And then you come in and you just talk with us about the same things that you're always talking about with each other.
and you didn't lie on anything. You were honest. You're like, yeah, I just don't have it, and that's the best way to handle it. But even if you weren't the,
we do smell.
we
bombs.
smell it. We smell it.
We
We
can
see
smell
it.
them. Okay.
So, but man, you guys were good.
Yeah.
Good team.
But you got a large team. You got a lot of talent. You got a lot of resources. Utilize it. You know, take it to the next level.
Yeah. I want to see you guys next year up there.
You know, go study the other team around you. You know, say, I think we could use that. You know, and granted, your situation may not be their situation. You know, you may not have the resources that they use. But look at it and say, this is what I can do with it. You know.
And did we talk much about the sensors that you have on the car? What's the quick list of anything that you're recording?
Data.
Yeah, you.
Okay, so what are the sensors you have on the car?
It was pretty minimal.
Okay.
And-
So
and-
the stopwatches data, a zip tie on a damper, set up a test to figure out what the max travel is. You can learn so much. You have to calculate it out, and you can say, okay, is this my peak or is this my average when you're calculating from the stopwatch? But you can learn a ton from all that. And you
Get
know,
the-
there's a plus minus on it. Go ahead, Bill.
Get the basics.
Yeah.
And then move forward. You know, you have the basic instrumentation. It'd be nice. You can gain a lot by putting some more instrumentation into it, some feedbacks and whatnot. But you can still do the same damn thing with stopwatches and visual observations.
There's a lot of, all of these advanced measurement based off of something simple. Brake temp paint is $5. I think you could buy it either on Amazon or something, and you just put it on the rotor. It'd be like, yeah, anyway, I couldn't afford the temp sensors, but the paint melted off, and I could tell that we're operating between 400 and 500 degrees. That is a $5 data. That's a cheap answer, but
Cheap and quick.
quick, yeah.
You know.
And reliable.
Even if you use the thermored gun and measured it, maybe it's not accurate, but you come in and say, I know we're within plus or minus
It's
this
relative.
range.
You know. You can get one for $10. You know.
Tire data, I would like the brake guy. Honestly, all of the teams should know the tire data and know how to understand it, because that vehicle dynamics tire data should revolve around the whole team. But usually, most teams, it's just one guy. Oh, so and so has the tire data. Why?
And there's a
Once
guy-
you buy it, everyone has
Who's
it.
your guy right down here? You guys go down and talk to him. Okay, he can tell you a whole lot of stuff. Okay, how to tune tires. You can get a whole lot out of it. Okay, and he's just right down.
Yeah, but
right
the
down there.
Your whole time, you're either grip limited or power limited. Were you guys the ones that showed me the percentage of time grip limited versus percentage of time power limited? That would be an extremely useful thing to figure out. It's one or the other.
But the team manager should get the data and then distribute it to the key vehicle dynamics personnel, and then they should teach the people under them. I was disappointed by how many brake guys didn't even look at the tire data. I got this number from so and so. I'm like, that's not a real number. It's a theoretical number. What are you achieving actually? I don't know. and that's not just you guys; it's everyone. That's unacceptable, and I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just saying like that's basic data that everyone can get.
Do the simple calc with whatever numbers you have, acceleration, steady state cornering, braking, and then go out and do it with the car and make sure that your calculations work. Then you can start figuring out what your plus minus window is, what factors you should use.
Some of it is really general feedback. So if you guys have questions, I think
Yeah,
now's
yeah,
the time
now
we
it's-
can talk about it.
yeah.
And
You guys want to learn something?
yeah.
This is,
So besides the engineering aspect,
if you cannot find, you can use me as an ask me anything. If something comes up and you can't find someone else to talk.
Thank you.
I know other teams do kind of a team presentation with posters and whatnot.
The thing is about that, you've got to get your message across quick and efficiently. Okay? You got basically 40 minutes to do it. Okay? And so the faster you can do it, and the more efficiently you can do it, and we can communicate, the better off you are. Poster boards kind of help you there. Okay? Stumbling for data is better than no data. But if I can, boom, here it is. Here's my laptop.
Here's a
it
whole
is.
book.
You know, here's my book.
I'm a big believer in a binder with everything in it that you know
Ready to go,
backwards
man.
and
Bam.
forwards.
You know, here's my data.
Yeah.
Texas A&M gave us this stuff. They handed us this stuff. Said, here it is. Here's my testing data. Here's all my stuff. Now, some of it was a little bit fluffy, and let's take it out of some textbooks, and I'm going to regurgitate it to you. Okay, but a lot of it actually had physical, hard stuff, hard facts on it. So the faster you can communicate, the better off you are. That's all in life too. Your
10 pages or 10 minutes or less,
Yeah.
and then have reference like report number 5398. Okay, I want to see that report. What is that data?
So-
and then you pull it out.
So it's the faster you can communicate and the better you can communicate. That's in life. Your boss is he ain't gonna want to hear every damn thing you've done. He just wants to know, do you know what the hell you're doing? Okay? And that's what we're looking for. What the hell are you doing? Can I trust you? Are you gonna get it done on time? Or are you gonna do it right? Get to it.
In my experience, it's very difficult for a team to come up to be able to stay on the display board. Usually, they're much better off if they know the binder backwards and forwards. Because usually, it's like, okay, well, this leads me to another question. Oh, that's not on the board. We'll get in the binder, pick it up. So that's why I say just go straight.
But the more
The cool creative things that you're doing, or your team did, or your management, you can put those on posters. But the brakes guy, or the sus guy, or the chassis guy should have that doesn't have to be a binder or 10 pages or 15 pages. He should be able to answer that sheet in and out in some sort of process or flow quickly down, from the idea.
Yeah.
Last year's car exists, we all know that.
Yeah.
But we started with an idea of this race car and worked our way to this system based off of our design goals.
So basically, you're well on your way there.
Show the
just-
evolution.
Just more math in those binders that you were showing us, and you'll be right up there with the best. You're on the right track.
We don't like to hear last year's design, but you could say I evolved this design from 10 pounds and we're down to 7.
I like to see this is the past however many cars, and this is what we've done with it.
Yeah.
These are the changes.
I
for
added
this
weight back in
specification.
because we needed it.
Yeah. This is our
Weight
our
is the
stiffest
enemy.
grade.
Not
Yes.
in brake discs.
No, that's not necessarily true. I've seen some real light ones, carbon fiber.
Yeah. I don't
All you
know
gotta
if
do is
it-
have money.
Yeah, I was gonna say, cost.
Okay.
Any other questions from you guys? Let's keep them going.
Yeah, so what is the best time to talk about the project management? Is that like the beginning? Because I feel like we had more to talk about on
Get
that.
your objectives, get your goals and your objectives established.
Yeah.
Across all the team.
Yeah, everyone should be working toward them.
Right.
Yeah.
Starting tomorrow.
And everybody says, yeah, tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow morning. You say, what's my objectives for next year? What's my goals for next year? And then you start saying, okay, you guys like suspension, you guys like chassis, you guys like engines, and define those things, and then bring all your goals together. Then build a timeline.
I would be generous and give you until Sunday when the results for all
Oh.
the
Yeah.
dynamic events are published. That's what it's about.
Anyway, yeah. But yeah, we're Hornet Racing. Here was our objective for 2017, 2018. Here were the 3 or 4 goals. And here's something cool we did as a team. Like we funded this whole project ourselves or something, right?
Stuff like system structure and how information
Here's our
is
chief
organized
engineer,
and
and
stuff
here's
like
our
that.
business manager, and here's our so-and-so.
And that's also, and then like all of that discussion about like how team structure is set up, or how all the information or models and stuff like that is organized. When's the best time to talk about stuff?
We
like
might
that?
ask it to you,
That
but
might be a good thing to have on a board.
a board.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's something that, it's like, okay, here's the org chart, here's our decision-making process.
Okay.
And
That's,
then
But you have to be cohesive, and everybody has to be able to work together and
Right.
function together, and the dynamics of the team is very important.
And then when I talked to so and so about the brakes, he's like, yeah, the team goals, reliability, cost, and weight. And then he's gonna be like, yeah, I did this, and these all relate to my goals, but they all direct back to the team.
Right.
Or
or saving 5 minutes in endurance, and therefore I have to up the braking G's to this.
Right.
That was my goal for this year.
something broad, but yeah, it's good to get it out there just a quick and practice that pitch, right?
Mhm.
That sets the tone for the whole hour.
Right.
You guys come in, you're well dressed, you're well prepared, the car looks ready to race. I mean, that's one of the questions on there. Does this car look ready to race? If you have a zip tie unclipped or hanging off, or a piece of electrical tape that's not taped, we notice it. Like, we're looking in there, oh, that bolt's not cut short enough. Those are little minute details, but we're looking
Can make
at
a
it.
big difference. Right?
Yeah. Have a mock design, like, get that sales pitch ready, right? It's not a sales pitch, it's a design pitch.
Yeah.
It's a justification.
But it also can help you in your fundraising, because it's almost the same thing. Bring your fundraisers in,
Contact the local SAE section. I've contacted them in California before, but just say, hey, we want to have a mock design. Can you invite some of the members out to our school? We'll have refreshments. We just want some industry feedback.
Okay.
Have a panel, questions,
and bring your checkbook.
and bring your checkbook.
Yeah.
Okay?
And constantly be asking each other, especially on different teams, to explain, okay, well, why are you doing this? So that they're always talking about justifying it to you with math.
Right.
And then you're understanding what the other teams are doing,
Right.
so that you have an understanding of the whole car and everything that's going on, and what you can do to help them, what they can do to help you. You have a very good team dynamic as far as we saw yesterday. You're lucky.
Just keep working with it.
Yeah.
Just keep building on it.
Okay.
And then
Everybody's got a skill. Take advantage of that skill. Okay? And everybody has something to contribute.
Yep.
Let them. Okay?
who's the team leader for next year?
We haven't elected yet.
Why?
We just usually wait till directly after. So
Why not elect him in January the year before and have him learn under that team leader for 6 months, and then he's in here at competition helping lead, and then you're ready to hit the ground running.
Well, I mean, in our experience, people are usually either in to be around for a long time, but I mean, a lot of the time somebody will show up in December or November and then be in charge of the team the following year. So if they've been there
really?
for like a month, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well,
or
you guys have
they'll
to
show up.
understand your own dynamic.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's the
Or
team
they'll
dynamic.
But a lot of times you want continuity to
Yeah.
swing.
Yeah,
Because you could be a multi-year program, right? You're not just one and done.
yeah,
That's one of the hardest part of schools because a lot of our school, a lot of people being transfer students. So a lot of people are in here for like 2 years and then gone, maybe a little bit more than 2 years. So keeping that continuity has actually been very difficult with this team.
Do you have any sort of a mentoring program, for someone who is maybe going to be gone in a year, with someone who's going to be staying a year?
Well,
after
we've always tried to set that up
Yeah.
at the beginning of the year, but what happens is, the beginning of the year starts, and then even people that are leads at the beginning of the year just fade away and all of a sudden disappear in the middle of the year, and we have to put somebody new in charge of it and things
How
like that.
often are you meeting as a team?
Bi-weekly.
And are they?
Well, at least that's like bi-weekly mandatory meetings, and then the rest of them are, constant in our room.
No, that's a challenge for you.
Yeah, it's difficult.
Yeah.
That's not unique to you,
But you got to keep beating your head against that wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's going to be people who fade off. I mean, that
Yeah.
happens.
Absolutely.
and some people that don't perform.
Yeah. Oh, and that's
They-
another.
they
That's another big
pretend like they're
issue.
performing, but they're not, and all of a sudden you wake up.
Yeah. Way behind.
Yeah, that does happen.
Absolutely.
People do have other lives,
Mhm.
That never happens in the professional world.
but right. That's right.
It's sarcasm.
That's why everybody always has a job and nobody gets fired. Okay. So yes, it happens in the real world too.
I mean, and you could incentivize the team aspect of it. Like I rarely write this. I was impressed though, like how well you guys work together. but you can constantly be improving that team aspect, you know, whether it's a barbecue or something like that,
Mhm.
where it's not just grind on the car.
For
Right.
God's sake, no beer drinking.
Yeah.
I think that does help a lot. Yeah. Yeah, enjoy each other.
That's where you get the napkins that you're going to bring me next year.
And how is your relationship with the faculty? I mean, it's tough, but like we always had faculty. If like they saw a new kid, they're like, "How come we haven't checked out the Formula team yet?" Right? At our school, at least, they were funneling people to us that were kind of bored, overperforming or something.
I mean, they do try and funnel people towards us. I mean, they do help with that. But I mean, it's a big commitment, you know. So I mean, they can say, "Hey, go join Formula,"
Well,
and then they'll show up to a meeting and say, "Ah, it looks like I have to put more than 5 hours a week towards it," and then, you know.
Well, that 5-hour-a-week guy, make him design the clutch lever.
Yeah.
Something small. Start small, and then if he wants more, give him more.
Right.
But give him something to be responsible for. And if he can handle that task, then give him more.
Right.
But I'm sure there's something small, washers or clutch lever or something that.
Well, you give people washers and then they just disappear.
Did we talk about you have a weight bill of materials for this car?
A what?
A weight bill of materials.
We don't.
That is where you weigh every single part on the car.
Well, they're going on a diet.
And you know, well, this is critical. This is critical. You weigh. I want that car running, so that you can try all sorts of stuff. The only excuse to take it apart is to take it into every single piece, weigh every single piece, take a bunch of pictures, know where it is, X, Y, Z from your CAD assembly, and that way you can track where the weight is and where you're going to lose weight on next year's car. And it'll also, as you're just picking something up, that seems too heavy, or these three things could be one part. And, you know, we could save some weight that way. So documenting the car down to every last nut and bolt is a great exercise.
That's where you're gonna find
That's
all
where
your-
you're going to find the opportunities to lose the weight and go faster.
Right.
So,
Because
and then if you start
weight's
that
your
process
enemy, time's
early,
your enemy.
yeah, you start that same process
Money's your
early
enemy.
for designing next car. So okay, this is what the current would weigh. This is our target. This is roughly where it is, X, Y, Z, and that's going to affect our center of gravity, our overall weight, and so many other things.
I released a drawing for a brake caliper that had 32 different components to it, and there was a 5-gram mismatch, and I had to find it. 5 grams. 0.005 kilograms. That's not easy to find, but you can get it to. You should be. If your design goal is 375 or whatever it is, 410. Make it realistic. Can you hit it? Plus or minus 5 pounds. We have teams that come in that are off by 50 or 60 or 70 pounds. Well, if you don't do what he's saying and weigh every part, you can't be realistic. It's a pain. I don't.
There's some light cars out there. Go study.
Yeah.
There's some light cars out there.
Bottom
People
out.
have really done
I
a
think the
good
weights
job
are
on the
posted
diet.
at the
Yes, they
final.
are.
Are there?
Okay. Texas A&M is one of them that I can think of.
But opposition research, Google image searches, talking to everyone
And
here,
go look
talking
and
with all
say,
the other California schools.
Wow, how did they get that one?
Yeah. A design goal could be a weight for you guys. You were at 500-pound car. How heavy? 490.
498.
Yeah, 500-pound car.
You're 2 pounds less than our objective of
Okay.
500-pound cars don't go to finals.
500-pound cars can't go to finals.
They were
They
talking,
can, but it's.
They were talking
You
in
damn well
last
better
night
be
that
able to
there was
skate
one year
across
that
the
if it was
water.
500 pounds, there
There's
was
going to
just
be
no
a
question.
fight among us
Didn't
before
matter how
500.
But that could be a make or
Yeah.
break in design finals. If you're
But a
over.
sub 400-pound car is totally feasible.
Oh, absolutely.
Totally feasible. That's 100 pounds for you guys.
But then it makes it easy for your brake guy or your engine guy or your suspension guy to say, okay, our team goal is 450 pounds. I've got to cut this percentage out of my system. And then I reduce my uprights by this much, and I reduce my. I switch to a titanium bolt in this case or something.
And
The cost goes up.
Yeah, the money.
Yeah.
Your other enemy, the money.
You got a 30-second kind of final thoughts. We got our next team
Yeah.
waiting for feedback here.
You guys got any more input that you want?
We're considering a total redesign next year. Given what you've just
Yeah.
explained to us, is there anything you would probably emphasize even a little more?
Figure
under that?
out where it's going to benefit you on track before you pick your goals.
Okay.
Why a total redesign?
Coming back next year.
Because we want to switch to the 10-inch wheels and the and a smaller engine. We've had lots of troubles with the 600.
Do you have the manpower to do both in 1 year?
To do both?
Suspension.
To 2 cars?
No, I'm saying, do you have the manpower
To
to
do
do
the 10-inch
wheels
wheels and the-
engine, or can you go one this year?
One
and
this
then,
year and one the next year. That might
I'm just
be
asking. I don't know what your
definitely
manpower is, but that could be another way you study it. Calculate the numbers. What's the benefit versus reward?
The
Yeah.
benefit that we attach to
Well,
this.
and that's something you study right now.
Right.
Okay, you go out there and study smaller tires.
They had two bolts.
What
If they needed to
advantage is
change
a smaller
one for any
tire?
reason, driver came
What
back and
is the
says we have
advantage
a
of
more
a
camber
different
on
engine?
the right
What,
side
a
or
single
whatever.
owner?
All they had to
Okay,
do
you're
was
gonna save
loosen
some
two
weight.
bolts. The shims were
But
small.
will it
They
perform
popped
the way I
out.
want to?
They had plus and minus shims.
I think
So you
They
go
said
out there
60/4 of an
and
inch.
do your study, check your
And they could
numbers,
just, in
watch them,
2
you know.
minutes, loosen two bolts, slide a new shim.
I think
tighten
TU
And then you
Munich is a
guys
German
figure it
team.
out.
I think they're still running a 4-cylinder and
It was
smaller
that quick
tires.
to change.
So look
They
at some of the
didn't
teams.
have
Who's
to do
doing it?
pins or anything.
And how are they doing
Literally
it?
was just like the
I don't know. That's an example I knew 2 or 3 years ago that they were. They might not be today. But
Smaller tires are in this front of
This is where the
study the
suspension note was at.
the other
and this was
competitions.
fit
Look at how the
between
finishers
frame
were.
and
How many of
they
them had
actually
singles?
built
How many
a
of them had
bracket that
wings?
came out
How many
here,
of them
so they
had
a bulge
10
right
inch?
here,
But don't do something just
frame
because you
comes
think it's
along
the
the
right,
rear
right
that
thing.
my drawing
Do it because it is the right thing.
Right.
Study.
Yeah,
You know, don't
two
put
bolts that would
aerodynamics
hold
on
this.
something
This here
and
would
find
be
out,
their
oh,
mounting
I'm
node,
hauling it
and
around,
then
I might as well
behind
just
that
throw
they
a
had
brick.
the shim working down from the top.
We all agree though.
So various
You could afford to
thicknesses
cut
here would
weight.
allow them to
Yeah.
move this
What's the
whole
best
thing.
way to do it?
It took a matter
I don't know.
of minutes. I said, yeah,
Well,
if we're on
tires
the
is
track
one.
and we find
Engine
out
is
we
another.
our tires.
Well, I mean, it
Tell
wouldn't
me
just be
answer.
Oh, I'm
tires.
sorry.
Sure, understood it, just we can adjust this just that.
Very good though.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot, guys.